Hey, church family. This morning we come to Psalm 74. This is a psalm for us when we feel like God has forgotten us or abandoned us. It starts with Israel's experience when they feel like God has left them, like he has let them on their own, and everything has gone wrong. And as we read it and understand how they deal with that situation, it helps us when we feel those times that we just feel like God's forgotten about us. So let's look at the psalm together. The psalm starts with the poet looking back at the destruction of Jerusalem when the Babylonians had come in and destroyed the city and burned down the temple to God. "O God, why do you cast us off forever? Why does your anger smoke against the sheep of your pasture? Remember your congregation which you have purchased from of old, which you've redeemed to be the tribe of your heritage. Remember Mount Zion where you've dwelt. Direct your steps to the perpetual ruins. The enemy has destroyed everything in the sanctuary." This was a national crisis for Israel. How could it be that God, who had cared for them, who had made them his congregation, who had bought them, who had redeemed them, who had dwelt with them, well, how could it be now that this was a perpetual ruin? The psalmist goes on, "Your foes have roared in the midst of your meeting place. They set up their own signs for signs. They were like those who swing axes in a forest of trees. All of its carved wood they broke down with hatchets and hammers. They set your sanctuary on fire. They profaned the dwelling place of your name, bringing it down to the ground." This is the destruction of the temple by the Babylonian soldiers. The soldiers roared in the midst of the meeting place, meaning God's place, where they met with him. They set up their own standards. The temple was full of carved wood. They swung axes and destroyed it. They burned it to the ground. They said to themselves, "We will utterly subdue them." They burned all the meeting places of God in the land. "We do not see our signs. There is no longer any prophet. There is none among us who knows how long. How long, O God, is the foe to scoff? Is the enemy to revile your name forever? Why do you hold back your hand, your right hand? Take it from the fold of your garment and destroy them." The psalmist cries out because everything is gone, any place in the land where they worship God. The prophets seem silent, and nobody knows how long will this last. God himself is mocked by this, and yet it keeps going. He seems to let it go. Then the psalmist reminds himself, verses 12 to 17, that God does still have all the power. "Yet my God is king from of old, working salvation in the midst of the earth. You divided the sea by your might. You broke the heads of the sea monsters on the waters. You crushed the heads of Leviathan. You gave him as food for the creatures of the wilderness. You split open springs and brooks. You dried up ever-flowing streams. Yours is the day. Yours is also the night. You have established the heavenly lights in the sun. You have fixed all the boundaries of the earth. You have made summer and winter." So the psalmist remembers God has done things. Those are the things of salvation. Those are the things of conquering the mythical monsters. These are the things of crossing the Jordan, of crossing the Red Sea. These are the things of giving water in the wilderness. This is control because he made it of everything, day and night, sun and moon, stars, summer and winter. The psalmist remembers in the midst of feeling like God has abandoned us, he is often lost only because we can't see he has been amazing. God's restraint, the fact that he has not come to avenge against the things done against him and his people, should never be confused with his powerlessness. And so the psalmist turns in prayer when he feels abandoned by God and prays for God to do something about it. "Remember this, O Lord, how the enemy scoffs and a foolish people reviles your name. Do not deliver the soul of your dove to the wild beasts. Do not forget the life of your poor forever. Have regard for the covenant, for the dark places of the land are full of the habitations of violence. Let not the downtrodden turn back in shame. Let the poor and needy praise your name. Arise, O God. Defend your cause. Remember how the foolish scoff at you all the day. Do not forget the clamor of your foes, the uproar of those who rise against you, which goes up continually. So the psalmist, who feels like God has completely forgotten and abandoned him, can pray. He can say, "Remember, O Lord." And he can pray that with confidence because he knows God has not forgotten. God may be slow, as some people call slow in coming. He may be restraining his judgment, but he has not forgotten his people. And we then can pray the same way right now. We know that God has not forgotten us, and even when we feel abandoned, we can trust that we will come through this. Go in peace today.